If he's actually committed to Bitcoin, then he'll go down as a hero to his people by removing his power naturally. If he wants to be a king, he'll take control. And it won't look like self-sovereignty, and it won't. But I can't. There's no way I could know that. There's no way anybody could know that. What I would say is there's a 97.5% chance he'll take control. But there was 97.5% chance that I would have, in my company, taken the bribe. I didn't.
In 2021, El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. Mm-hmm. In your view, what was the impact both in El Salvador and globally?
I think it was such a bold move to do that. I was there shortly thereafter, that move, and I had a big presentation there. People were flying in from all over the world, and the day before I went were all the murders, and we still went. But it was crazy, and I think what happened there, behind the scenes, I think what happened there is, the control structure didn't know that Bukele was going to make Bitcoin legal tender, and that shocked the control structure. And then the behind the scenes, you wanted to create a false flag to be able to hurt his credibility as president. And then he instead locked everyone else up. And why I think that happened, I can't guarantee that happened, but why I think, knowing how things work, the coordination of media while I was there on he's a dictator, and why would he lock these people up when nobody cared about El Salvador? Mm-hmm. How coordinated that response was and how fast that response was coordinated tells me that it was coordinated, right? It was just all of the media that we saw in the U.S., all the media that we saw in Canada was, in Europe, was the outcome of him locking people up rather than what happened to create it. And it just doesn't seem to pass the smell test of what an actual reporter would actually look at to why. So I think it was coordinated, and I think it was coordinated because the IMF, US, the entire control structure didn't expect that he would go to Bitcoin, and then they were caught flat-footed when he locked everybody up too, because most of the time throughout history, other people, this happens, and then that person loses their power. So he has a 92% rating in El Salvador, and I'm not going to get into whether that's right, wrong. I just know he wouldn't have a 92% public rating unless the citizens of El Salvador who elect him thought it was right. And so who am I to determine something else? And those citizens were living in a hellhole for a lot of years until that happened without hope. So I think he did some things that were very bold and helped put Bitcoin gain attention. And I think he's going to be in time. I think he's going to be celebrated for that. He's been a part of the structure that has done this, and they're still buying Bitcoin. And if you look at what's going to happen, it's going to create a whole bunch of wealth for the citizens of El Salvador and freedom. If Bukele was a dictator, maybe time will tell. Then you wouldn't want to impose Bitcoin. You wouldn't want people in self-custody. You wouldn't want people spending in Bitcoin, because it would remove your ability to be a dictator.
Yeah, it gives people economic independence.
Exactly. It moves the power back to the people. So time will tell on all of this. It's interesting to watch both sides of this. So opinionated, without living in the country and seeing what it looked like before and after, and what the citizens of El Salvador think about him.
I've been living there for the past 9 months. We left Europe. In Europe, no matter where you go, everyone complains about their government. It doesn't matter. You can talk to a French person, Dutch, German, Spaniard. And one of the things that shocked me when I got to El Salvador is that Salvadorans are happy, optimistic, and they like their government, which for me is rare. I'm not familiar with that feeling of, liking your government anymore.
So even when I went the first time, when it was early in Bitcoin transition, that's what you could feel. You could feel a hint of hope. When I went back recently, you could see that expanding. You could see it. Now it's going to take some time, but you could see that the hope and in the air, and more people taking chances in the free market because now they can, and they can create value for others. And so, compared to what it looked like before and what it looks like now, it's unreal. It's a remarkable change in a very short order of time.
In 2025, the government reversed it under IMF pressure. What's the signal to the world?
That's why I say we won't know for sure. It could be one of two. It could be one of two things. And it could be Bukele is caving to the control structure, or he's using what he needs to be able to get the capital to change the country and get people into self-custody and running nodes and understanding this. I believe it's the latter. I believe that Bitcoin at that time isn't big enough, or the people in Bitcoin weren't big enough to be able to provide the funding that he needed to be able to create the change for society. And if the change comes too slow for society, he can't carry on the mandate. There's lots of problems in El Salvador other than just your gangs. That was one of the core problems, but the other problems to fix are infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, all of that. These things can't be solved just by saying spend in Bitcoin tomorrow. Right? Bitcoin's emerging as a base layer, and it's early, and these things still need to be solved to be able to create wealth for citizens and allow the free market to work. So he was in a little bit of a box because Bitcoin's early, where El Salvador was, and I suspect the IMF used that pressure to be able to drive this. Interesting enough, he's still buying Bitcoin every day, and even though it says in that he can't. But we'll see over time which path he chooses. If he chooses to help his citizens understand self-custody, if he chooses to understand how they can spend in it and remove that power structure, then he may go down as one of the greatest leaders that ever lived.
Yeah. What's the signal to the world when they reversed the Bitcoin as a legal tender law to people in Africa, people in Central South America, Javier Milei in Argentina, everyone?
If you realize where the control comes from, and it's manipulated money, and they create these debt traps for countries, but the countries have no choice, and they take the money. That control structure has enormous power over our way of life. And it's trying to fight back to stop Bitcoin in every different step. But you should expect that to happen. We should expect that to be just the course of action, because in 5,000 years, we've never lived in a free market. So that means that control structure must be very, very strong against us. And I think what's ending up happening is it's trying to insert. You just saw what Google did the other day, and then reverse the ruling on self-custodial wallets. But if you look deep into what they announced and all the charts and what was okay and it wasn't a simple act of we made a mistake. Somebody lower down made a mistake. It was a coordinated attack it was probably a trial balloon to what's coming. Right. And so we have to understand that all of these actions, that all of these coordinated entities where the power resides today are coordinated. And they cannot allow, if Bitcoin, forget Bitcoin for a second, the natural state of the free market is deflation.
Yes.
That opposes every single thing in the existing structure.
Even without Bitcoin. It's true.
So it means that can't be allowed to exist, no matter what. They're two totally different systems. They're inoperable together. One must kill the other. And so what you're seeing play out all around the world is you're seeing the fight all behind the scenes, agencies, CIA, different agencies, Mossad, IMF, World Bank, government agents, you're seeing all of this coordinated to stop this. Because if this exists, most of that goes away.
Do you think it can succeed? We
Yes.
can have a free
Yes,
market?
I do. That's it. So
Why now and not before?
in my presentation,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
And
Today.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
And a premiere here for the podcast that will be released after the presentation.
Sure.
Thank you.
If you understand game theory, which is really the mathematical process for a system for how we make decisions, game theory explains us. All of what we say we'll do versus what we'll do. And Prisoner's Dilemma is a really good example of that. If two people cooperate, the overall system is better. But individually, if one person cheats on the other and says the other person did it, the sum total of those is worse for both players. And if both people cheat, it's way worse. What you'll find is individual actors acting rationally are so scared of somebody else cheating them that they'll cheat the other person first. And so what it means is through that is globally, not individually, we get worse outcomes. Now, add a couple variables to that. And if you played that game over and over, iterative players, you'll see the best way to play that game. And the best way to play that game is cooperate. But if somebody else cheats you, then cheat them back. And then go back to cooperating. And if they cooperate the next time, cooperate. Because if you know somebody's going to cheat, if somebody cheated you the last time, then what would you do the next time? So you can see human action through this play out. Now add a couple of variables to that. Add a variable that you wouldn't get caught, right? So you won't get caught. And add another variable that you keep on increasing the reward. $100, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 billion, $10 billion, you won't get caught. At some level of you won't get caught when you're playing this game. 97.5% of human beings will cheat. And why they'll cheat is either they'll cheat immediately because they can make money, or they'll say, if I don't, somebody else will. So they won't call it cheating. Now, money is a perfect thing you wouldn't get caught, right? To create a little bit, steal a little bit from, and then it creates so much wealth, so much inequality, so much power, that of course we would fall into that trap. So who are the 2.5%? The 2.5% are probably all of the religious leaders, right? That stayed firm, that then were killed, right? That then those religions actually had, in most major religions, no interest, right? It was the foundation of a lot of these major religions. And I think what we celebrated in those people was what we couldn't hold in ourselves, an ability to stand up against and hold integrity, right? Because very few of us can, because we can be bought. And the odds are, if 97% of 0.5% of people can be bought, so odds throughout human history, you would just keep on repeating the pattern over and over and over again. So now why is Bitcoin different?
Yeah.
Is because 97%, 0.5% aren't bad people. They wouldn't tell themselves they're cheating. They would say, I needed to do it for my family before it was done to me. And most people will just go along with whatever system they're in. So if it's acting like that, then more people will make that decision. There'll be rational actors in that, and they'll keep on making that decision. Like the mirror we see of reality today, with everybody inside the system making those same decisions within the system. But in Bitcoin, that's what the nodes are. You can have anonymity and run a node. All of the change has to come through you. And so those nodes are a wall of people essentially inscribing the best of them into a system for the best of everyone else. And it produces a base that can't be cheated, because in the past, those people would be killed by this control structure. But because you're private on your nodes, and these nodes are all over the world, you can't even be found.
There are a lot of public people in Bitcoin that can be targeted.
I'm one of them. All that lesson would do is accelerate Bitcoin.
Why?
Because more people would build the privacy tech, more people would build it faster, more people would run nodes.
Game theory.
The game theory. If government came after some of those people at that, it would accelerate the demise of government.
Yeah. The government of El Salvador recently extended presidential terms to 6 years and removed term limits without a referendum. How do you see this move?
Yeah, it builds on your other question. It's a nuanced question. So do I like that? Does it say something that says, okay, is he trying to attract more power and change that? On one side of that, I could easily make the argument, and I could see a whole bunch of things saying, this is dictatorship. He's taking more power. He's changing the constitution to support something that shouldn't exist. And that is a valid argument for all the people that are making it. It needs to be looked at. The other side of that argument is, would the citizens and would El Salvador, if you change the government today, carry on a path that was individual rights and freedoms and everything else, or would it just revert directly back to what it looked like before? And I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I know, but when I look around at the rest of the world and said democracies, every one of them is failing. Every one of them is saying one thing and doing another. So every one of them is taking more power without referendums and control. Every single one. Everyone in Europe, everyone in Canada, everyone in the US, everywhere in the world it's doing this. And then those people are looking at El Salvador and saying, how dare you? So it's unreal. So I don't know the answer to that. I just know the system we're in is going to be very chaotic, and it's going to challenge people's belief sets because their belief sets are built on a lie.
Yeah, my question is, how do you see that move? Because I really don't know what to think, and it's what you say. I come from ideas that are not working, but it's true that he calls himself the philosopher king.
That's what I mean. We'll see in time. We'll see because if he's actually committed to Bitcoin, then he'll go down as a hero to his people by removing his power naturally. If he wants to be a king, he'll take control, and it won't look like self-sovereignty, and it won't. But I can't. There's no way I could know that. There's no way anybody could know that. What he's going to do. What I would say is, there's a 97% chance, 97.5% chance that he'll take control. But there was 97.5% chance that I would have in my company taken the bribe. And I didn't. Right?
Yeah.
So we won't know until the actions actually show what he does. I'm hopeful.
It was years ago, Seyfedin shocked me with this idea of the end of democracy and the beginning of monarchies, good monarchies. If it's a monarch that gives to the people the power of the monetary system, then could be a benevolent king.
I disagree with that, the way that the world is out of a perception of what might have worked in the past. And we don't have a playbook for what's going to look. There is no word for democracy, capitalism, communism. There is no word that describes where we're going, because all of those words are butchered by the existing system that we've lived in, which is never a free market. So where we're going and what systems look like, governance systems look like, that how we choose those governance systems, we don't know yet. But there's no way to be a king in a governance system where all of the power goes to the people.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's true.
It's why it's so much easier looking from a clean slate. And what does the new system impose? Could that exist the way it used to exist? It can't.
No. In your view, does the rule of law apply here?
Well, Well, what rule of law? I wrote a thing a long time ago called "Finding Signal in a Noisy World." It's well worth reading it, and it's had tens of millions of views. It's been cited in many other things, and I wrote it to show people what was going to happen in a way that it was going to happen, and why all the blow-ups were going to happen in crypto, and why crypto was worthless, and when it was only Bitcoin.
When did you write that one?
2022, I think. Maybe
Okay.
2021. I can't even remember, but it described exactly what was going to happen and how that was going to happen. But one of the things I wrote in it was that money is superordinate to law. We think law protects us, but if you're above look at what's happening right now with Epstein, right?
Yeah.
If you're above the money, if you have the money, the law is changed to serve you. And so laws are always changed. By the way, if it didn't look like that, if money wasn't superordinate to law, then what you'd expect is the places with the most broken money to have the best laws protecting people.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look the opposite?
Yeah.
So when money's broken, law is useless. It's completely useless. There is no law. You have the money and you win. And money is broken. So most of the laws today are designed to keep money broken and to keep you poor, keep you trapped.
Still, there is some comfort in the rule of law, but it's true what you say. Logically, I understand, and then there is the
belief,
comfort.
and this is again the pendulum of the swing.
Yeah.
We believe because we're looking back on a rule of law when money was less broken, that we grew up at a different time, and as money's getting more and more broken, the laws are changing to support that. And it doesn't feel the same as when we were kids. And the world is changing so fast by this control structure, trying to co-opt our individual rights and freedoms. Most people don't know that just about everything, like you used to have a search warrant and probable cause. Right? It doesn't look like that anymore. All of your internet records and everything you're doing are viewed all the time. Inside this control structure that is learning more and more about you and how to make you think.